4 months from the first meeting to a deployed solution. That's lightning speed for government IT. It's lightning speed for government, virtually anything. Like, how did this process come about?
In this case, we really followed the framework and the process that SHI has implemented around imagine, experiment, and adopt. It's 3 specific phases to identify the most impactful use cases.
I've never seen the ability for somebody to put out a solution within the time frame that was done. And not only a solution that did one vertical, has the ability to do many verticals. When you have great partners and a great vision, you generally can produce great outcomes.
In the world of technology, heroes are everywhere. They're overcoming disruption, delivering sustainable outcomes, and fearlessly forging the future to solve what's next. Join me, Ed McNamara, as we meet the people and businesses driving change in our constantly disruptive world. This is Innovation Heroes, a podcast brought to you by SHI. SHI, in collaboration with NVIDIA, allows you to make the most of your AI journey as you move rapidly from imagination to experimentation to full-scale adoption of NVIDIA AI solutions. Learn more at shi.com/partners/NVIDIA. Question: when was the last time you heard about a government IT project that turned out better than it sounded on PowerPoint and was delivered 4 months ahead of schedule? That's exactly what's happening in Vail, Colorado. And it's just the beginning. Today, we're talking about smart city solutions using real AI deployments to solve real problems, like early wildfire detection, accessibility compliance, traffic management, and public safety. And we're joined by 3 of the people who are out there making it happen. Jack Hogan leads SHI's Advanced Growth Technologies team and the AI and Cyber Labs, a facility specifically designed to help customers move from AI experimentation to adoption. Denise Collison runs SHI's Public Sector Business Unit and is spearheading the promotion of smart cities initiatives across state and local governments everywhere. And Michael Sherwood from NVIDIA brings deep expertise in digital transformation across local, county, and state government entities. This episode is sponsored by NVIDIA, whose AI platform is foundational to everything we're about to discuss. Denise, Jack, and Michael, welcome to Innovation Heroes. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. It's great to see you again, Ed.
All right, so let's dive in. So just really quickly, definition of smart city is what I found. It said a smart city uses technology and data to improve city services, enhance quality of life, and increase efficiency and sustainability. It integrates digital systems and the Internet of Things, such as sensors and cameras, to optimize urban operations, including traffic management, energy use, waste collection, and public safety. So that's what I looked up. But Denise and or Michael, the goal for the concept of smart cities is to become a reality across the U.S. What is the biggest opportunity for AI in transforming the public sector? And Michael, you're our guest from NVIDIA. Why don't you start out with that?
Sure. I mean, cities are really trying to grow and expand. They're always facing challenges, whether it be financial challenges or challenges within their communities. And so they're looking to experts such as SHI and NVIDIA working together to provide solutions that either help reduce traffic congestion, improve digital access. It's all about creating community, helping those within the city get the information and services they need. And we love to partner with those organizations and helping them decide how to move their cities forward in the best manner.
Denise, you probably have these conversations with a lot of different county and municipal government entities. How do they get started? There's so much for the folks that manage cities to address. Like, how do they decide where to get started?
Yeah, well, first of all, they are addressing a lot of different things. What they're really trying to do is get to real-time decision making. They want to move from reactive to proactive. They want to reduce costs, of course, and they want to accelerate innovation. But really, the primary goal is to improve citizen experience. That's coming through automation and accessibility. What I tell everyone is just get started. Pick one thing and let SHI help you build that out, build a prototype. It goes really, really fast. Let us demonstrate the value of that one solution, and that'll help build momentum and a better business case for the following solutions. And so I think we'll get into how we helped Vail do that, how to pick one just to get started. But you start small and then you grow it from there.
improve citizen experience. That's a really succinct way of saying it. So, Jack, Vail, Colorado launched a smart city initiative this year. What problems were they looking to solve, and how did SHI get involved?
Well, the town of Vail, Colorado is a really interesting town. If you think about it's a resort town, so half of the year, it's really just the base citizens that are there, 2,500 or so core year-round residents. But during their peak season, they see over 2 million people come through the town of Vail. And so for them, they had a challenge of dealing with this massive explosion of people while also managing a city that's got the same problems as every major metro city. So they wanted to really understand how AI could be applied, how different usage and patterns of AI can improve the experience for their year-round citizens, but also for those that are coming to Vail for the incredible things that they come to Vail for, obviously, the skiing, the outdoors. And so for them, they wanted to make sure that they had a safe city. They wanted to make sure that that traffic flowed appropriately. They wanted to make sure that they had the ability to have their citizens be able to find affordable housing while they were there during the peak seasons. And of course, the ability to really provide better city information at a much lower cost. So they were looking for a lot of different things. And our solution capabilities of how SHI's framework of Imagine, Experiment, and Adopt allowed us to take them through the journey to identify the use cases, prioritize those use cases, create real solutions for those, and ultimately deploy them so that, as Denise said, starting small and expanding from there. So they really had a broad range of requirements in this, and we helped them refine that down to executable high ROI return engagements for them.
So, Jack, I love that right off the bat because I was, in my formative years, grew up down the Jersey Shore, which is the exact opposite busy season as Vail, Colorado. But I love the scalability of it. I mean, we have barrier islands here that have 15,000 people on them in the winter and 300,000 like in the summer. So how important was that scalability for Vail? And does the solution that you're providing, help them achieve that?
Yeah, well, first of all, by adding in agentic processing, by adding in the usage of video VSS or video search and summarization, the ability to enhance some of their existing feeds, that ability to use AI and technology to take on those large challenges when those summer dwellers come into the winter cities looking for some good time on the powder. This is ultimately that ability to use technology in a way that can augment the city staffing, be able to address the challenges of massive increases of people coming in and enhance the experience for those individuals that are coming through. It really was the application of technology in the form of agentic capabilities through AI that allowed us to provide these systems and these solutions that really required no additional scaling. They were all capable of being managed and scaled through the technology systems that underpin this. Things like the NVIDIA AI enterprise solution, the software stack, and the NVIDIA GPUs that are involved. Those take on a lot of the processing power for what's necessary during those peak times.
And I'm getting ahead of myself with the scaling. So, Michael, maybe you could set the table for how does NVIDIA work with partners like SHI, HPE, ISVs to deliver full stack solutions for smart cities?
One of the great things about NVIDIA is that we work with everybody, helping them meet the challenges that they have, specifically with SHI and others. We help provide different types of software solutions, but we build the models that really allow deployment to be, instead of 2 to 3 years, 2 to 3 weeks, could be months, but providing really an end-to-end, fully integrated AI solution that allows partners to play a complementary role in helping cities not only get the right hardware they need, but the full stack to create the outcomes that they're looking to achieve.
So, Jack and Denise, really 4 months from the first meeting to a deployed solution. That's lightning speed for government IT. It's lightning speed for government, virtually anything. Like, walk us through how you actually did that. Like, how did this process come about?
When you look at full stack smart city solutions, you can think of it as NVIDIA providing the accelerated computing powers that power the real-time AI applications. The ISVs are bringing those specialized capabilities that Jack is going to talk about or has already kind of hit on there. Those are the niche use cases, things like wildfire prevention, things like accessibility and compliance issues. SHI brings that integration, testing, and risk mitigation. So you really can't, one single vendor can't do this. It's got to be an ecosystem approach. That's exactly what we did here. And so, but I'll let Jack talk to you about how it actually came about so quickly.
Thanks, Denise. I think in this case, we really followed the framework and the process that SHI has implemented. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll go a little deeper around imagine, experiment, and adopt. It's 3 specific phases that we work through with our customers to identify the most impactful use cases that can really drive the best ROI, and then rapidly experiment with those and adopt them. In the case with Vail, the way that this came about was that we started working with their town manager. He was able to really have the vision to see that there are better and more efficient ways to apply technology to solving some of the business problems that the town had. And so in the imagine phase, it was really about briefing the town about what was possible. What could you do if you applied things like advanced video search and summarization, if you used agentic processes to replace repetitive human tasks, if you leveraged the optical character recognition capabilities and automatic categorization, you could solve a lot of big problems. And so in that imagination phase, we did these briefings. Then we did a 2-day workshop, which we teased out all of the use cases that all of their major town areas, their fire, their police, their town management, their waste management, we brought all those individuals together to really tease out what was the most impactful things for their areas of responsibility. We actually came up with a list of 20 use cases where AI and advanced technology could be applied. And then we refined that down and took that in a rank order of going after the 4 most impactful. In this case, we were able to identify that there was a compliance issue they had under the 508 compliance requirements that are coming to all cities. That was a very high priority because it was a large cost that they had allocated, but they were behind in the implementation. We were able to apply AI there in this imagine phase to really say, this is how we could do it. Then we showed them through the usage of the Kamiwaza solution called Aria, that was able to really speed up from what was going to be a 3-year project to a project that could be done in under a couple of weeks. That type of ROI was pretty powerful. So we went straight from imagine to experiment, and now we're adopting that and doing all the remediation for them. And so that one use case is a perfect example. But we also found that they had documents around their deed restrictions in a town like Vail, where you have this influx of people. You can imagine that finding affordable housing is a challenge. And so the town actually has, going back decades worth of deed restrictions on each property in the town to ensure for things like subletting and what can actually be housed in each property. But this was a tedious task for their town managers to go through and review some of these documents that were over 50 years old, stored in microfiche. That was another example of, we told them that we could do this through the imagine phase, and we experimented through it, and we're able to retrieve and extract the documents from microfiche and laserfiche history and turn that into a process that allowed them to scan through documents that had handwritten notes, that had images, and turn that all into a very, very responsive solution for their town, their city planning team to be able to, rather than be doing research, be actually interacting with the town. So again, the imagine phase, the experiment phase, and now we're moving fully into the adoption phase. And then we were able to now take their compliant data, their history of information around the different types of content that the city had, and we presented in the imagine phase this idea of turning it into a digital AI ambassador. In this case, that digital AI ambassador represents all of the information that the town of Vail has at its fingertips deep in their data repositories, and turn that into an interactive digital avatar that can sit inside their library and their town welcome centers to allow them to ultimately interact and allow their citizens and their visitors to come in and learn more about the history of Vail, learn where there is the information that they need access to, learn what restaurants are available and what upcoming events are happening. And so that's another one that came out through that Imagine phase. We've now built it and gone through the experimentation phase, showing them what their digital town ambassador can look like. Final use case we did of the 20 that we had teased out during that workshop was, of course, in a town like Vail, Colorado, something like a wildfire could be devastating. So how did we apply AI for this? Well, we looked at what they had in terms of data feeds available. And it turns out they had over 100 cameras that were being used on everything from their busing systems to looking at their mountains. And these feeds actually were from cameras in some cases that were decades old. So we were able to apply technology from ProHawk to do video restoration and improve the resolution for those videos, and then use an agentic AI process through Kamiwaza's platform to and the Vadio solution that was doing video tagging to identify early signs of a wildfire. And so we were able to use AI in so many different ways through that, just opening them up what's possible through that Imagine phase, showing them and validating that rapidly. We did this in a matter of just a couple of weeks through that experimentation phase, and now we're moving into the full adoption phase.
If you're facing the complexities of enterprise AI deployment and generative AI implementation, you're not alone. As AI initiatives move from experimentation to production, CIOs and technical leaders struggle with AI infrastructure scalability, LLM model governance, and ROI validation. SHI and NVIDIA's integrated solutions address these challenges head-on. Our collaboration provides you with the tools, infrastructure, and support you need to implement generative AI effectively. Learn more at shi.com/partners/NVIDIA. You know, it's really fascinating to me because there's a safety issue, and there's all of the the fire, the police, like all of the municipal workers who have this information. But we started talking about this almost from like a customer service perspective, right? It's like this is a town that is based on tourist dollars. There's competition among cities, and you're actually producing a good, solid, like customer service product in addition to all of the services that are being provided, and it's really shared resources. So I can't imagine that has been coordinated at this level, like I know maybe ever, at the municipal level, like combining all of those things. Is that fair to say?
I'd say the way that we combine the different AI solutions and the 4 core use cases we went after, I haven't heard of anyone solving them the ways that we have, and especially together, being able to create better accessibility for all citizenry, better security and safety, better efficiencies across their document management and retrieval. And then, of course, accessibility of information from the city. So like those are 4 areas that really, when you combine them, I don't think you're seeing that in any other city, especially a town the size of Vail. It's probably the most important aspect of this. This can apply to large-scale metropolitan cities as easily as it can to a town the size of Vail. So when we look at like what SHI has done together here with NVIDIA, with Kamiwaza, with HP as our partner from an infrastructure side point of view, this is very unique, but also very scalable to any other city. These become, as Michael said, they become force multipliers. Once you actually can see what's possible with AI and the proper application of different technologies, it makes it easier to allow others to see how they can benefit from using systems of this nature.
I think what we're seeing, Ed, right now, Vail is definitely breaking some new ground here, absolutely 100%. What we're seeing is that a lot of public entities are forming councils to discuss, how to go about having an AI solution or just AI available for use within their local community or even within a state. There's a lot of public-private partnerships happening to talk about how to best use AI and also how to give access to these governments and schools, give access to this very expensive AI-powered equipment. But in Vail's case, we were able to scale it down. And I think it's definitely groundbreaking for sure. Michael, I'd love to hear your take on this, but yeah, I think, Ed, what we're really seeing is that there is a lot of talking and bringing together of people to figure out where and how, but not tons yet of actual deploying of solutions. But I think it's going to be pretty rapid.
No, I think you're spot on. I think a lot of entities are challenged on what vertical to go after, what solutions to utilize, and it comes down to partnerships. Having great partners leads you through those discussions as a government entity is very helpful. And then especially working with someone who's been able to bring solutions like Veil to market, not only, bring it to market, but do it in the expeditious manner that they did. Being in government, you're obviously responsible to the people. You go up and talk to your council members. Having a partner that has been proven and been able to bring this quickly and successfully is huge. And to be able to do all the things Veil's doing is magnificent. I mean, it's a great use case that can easily be repeated by organizations across the United States.
Story's amazing. I love how it can be ported to other cities and scaled up on any different levels. But let's talk about the most exciting thing that we're doing with Veil right now, and that's compliance. Because what's more exciting than making sure things are compliant, right? Like nothing, right? So in terms of doing all of this, Veil also needed help with what's called Section 508 compliance, which is, or I shouldn't explain it. Denise, can you, for those of us, especially on the commercial, people who might be on the commercial side of the house, can you explain what this is and how does AI help there?
Yeah, it's either 508 compliance or it's the American Disabilities Act Title II. Very, very similar requirements, but basically the requirement is to make all digital assets, websites, PDFs, everything accessible to everybody, including people with disabilities. So that's the goal, is to get accessible so all of your constituents can access all of their government services easily, at their fingertips. Before AI solutions, this is very manual. It's very time consuming, very costly. As you heard Jack mention, just Vail, a city population as a whole of 2,500 people, yes, it scales up. That was going to take 3 years for them to manually go and make all of their web pages, all of their PDFs, everything digitally facing mobile apps compliant. And so the outcome here is just faster compliance. They didn't have to have a full-time headcount or more than one full-time headcount. Obviously improved citizen access. And just one last thing that I will say is that it is not a one-time thing. You can't just get compliant and be done with it, because every time a web page is changed, that also now needs to be compliant. And as we know, usually it's not just one person in any public entity that's making changes or uploading things to their website. It's many different departments, agencies, things like that. And so it's something that you have to stay on top of year after year after year.
So, Michael, let's talk about challenges. I mean, with Veil, I'm hearing all of this that's done, and then Denise, you said there's 2,500 person town, from a full time perspective. So I'm just thinking, okay, we could go on and on about the staffing issues there to make that happen. Yep. But Michael, what are the biggest obstacles governments are facing when trying to adopt AI solutions, and how are we helping them overcome?
A lot of it's education, just understanding what's available in the marketplace, knowing what partner to work with, and then what solution do I go after? Governments are generally, local governments especially, you have competing priorities, limited budget flow, so you really got to make your dollars count. You got to make your staff time count as well. And that's why, bringing in a trusted partner is the number one starting point. Having those ideation sessions, talking about the challenges, and having that partner be a true partner, working with you, understanding your challenges, and then providing you outcomes. And the best way to do that is through small pilots where you get a feel for the solution, you get a feel for your partner, and then you're able to take it to scale. And those are really the easiest ways that what we're seeing. But we're seeing most cities not like Vail yet, not moving at that speed, still ideation phase, still trying to figure out what is the best area to go after. Look, 508 is a huge opportunity for cities, and it's not an opportunity, it's a mandate. So they're going to need to start addressing that issue, and many haven't. So it's not too late. Definitely reach out, get a partner to work with you. But 508, you can do it relatively quickly if you have the right partner on board.
Jack, we're talking about some of the challenges. Like, I just alluded to staffing and maybe some talent gaps there. What are the roles that the AI in cyber labs is playing in getting past that?
Yeah, well, this is one of the beauties of what we do at SHI for our customers. And to Michael's point earlier, we partner with them by bringing together our rich data science organization, our systems and solutions engineering group, our partner and ecosystem development team. And we bring that together as really augmentative services for our customers. In the case of local governments, they typically aren't going to have a data scientist on staff to even understand how to apply some of these AI technologies to solve some of the city challenges. And so we bring that as part of the engagement to our customers. We make that part of the overall imagine, experiment, and adopt framework that we engage with them on, and we make it accessible. Because in the reality, what we're doing with our technical talent is solving the bigger civic and really business challenges. Well, that's where SHI is the partner to help work with these municipalities and help bring together what we're seeing and the power of all the other cities we're touching and all the other entities that we work with. That talent that we bring into these engagements has that experience and that exposure, so we can bring the art of the possible to the customers to ensure that they don't need to build up the talent. They can actually rely on the systems that have been already validated and vetted, and we can experiment with them to ensure that they apply before we move to the adopt phase. That's really the beauty of the imagine, experiment, and adopt process and the technical depth and talent that we bring to the table at SHI.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
I think the thing that we all know is true, but isn't often talked about. We talk about talent gaps, we talk about budget, we talk about all those things, but we don't talk about the big one, which is resistance to change. And that is actually a big obstacle that a lot of public entities are facing. And I think the imagine phase of our framework really helps to overcome that. I think it did that in the case of Vail, where we got all of the different departments involved. And as they were hearing about some of the use cases or ideas that each department had, they started to really ideate, and they figured out that, oh, wait a second, this isn't going to necessarily replace us. It's just going to make us more efficient. It's going to give us the data we need to make faster decisions. It's not taking my job away. And so I think that idea, that imagine phase, that ideation phase is really, really important to kind of set people's minds at ease and understand that AI is a partner. It's not a replacement.
And Denise, I'm glad that you said that because as SHI's VP of Public Sector, you've delivered IT solutions in every state, every political environment. But it feels like this is one of those topics that is just very easily going to cut across the political divide, right? Like I feel like this is one of those things that we can kind of all agree on. But I didn't know that we were also going to be considering like a FOMO, like a fear of missing out conversation. Whereas like if you're not doing this, like your city, your county, your state is at a distinct disadvantage. Like is it safe to say that this is like it's either get on board or get left behind?
Well, yes, I think it's very safe to say get on board or get left behind. I think it's going to become more and more political as entities, cities, especially the larger cities, start to innovate and provide that better experience for their citizens. The cities that are not, the people in charge are going to start to get called into question very fast. People are going to want to know where their money is being spent, why they're still waiting, a week for a response from a government entity where the city next door is getting them within 2 minutes, or less. And so I think there's going to be more and more pressure mounting on our political figures and those responsible administrators and all those folks that are responsible for keeping those citizen services modern, available, accessible, and easy.
Michael, quick question for you. It feels like that a lot of regular citizens like myself sometimes assume that there's somebody somewhere thinking about solving something, and there just might not be. It's like, oh, somebody's probably working on that. It's like, nope. It's just it just is, and it's not a problem if you don't have a solution. So, but it's like you hear from a political aspect, you hear the term like transparency. Like it seems like this is actually going to help because it's like, yes, like we're actually, somebody's going to have to start digging in and understanding like, this is how it actually works. This is what's actually not being addressed. This is how we're going to address it. Is it, I'm going to say, is it that easy? It's not that easy. It seems remarkable. It's easy for me to say, sounds really hard to do, but like, is transparency in our local government future, driven by AI?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think, everybody's mentioned it today. I mean, you need to have a collection of people on your team, the data scientists, which a lot of cities don't. So they need to find those partners that can utilize and bring those resources forward. Transparency is going to continue to evolve. The digital experience is going to evolve. And to Denise's point, these solutions aren't just technology-focused solutions anymore. They're economic drivers. They're creating new opportunities for cities. They're creating data. Probably the most important asset a city has is data. How do they use their data? How can they use that data to make better decisions, not just financially, but staffing-wise? So there's a lot of potential that cities are going to be able to unlock with this data transparency and just having data in general. That's going to really help them. It's going to be, I don't want to say cities necessarily compete against each other, but there will be some competition. Do you want to be in a city that you can't get a business license in, or that a business license takes 9 months? Or do you want to be in the city that's utilizing AI tools that walks you through the business license process, helps you get a license in 2 weeks at a cost that is half of what the other cost is because it has less human interaction, more computer-centric assistance? And so it's going to become a cost. Technology is going to be an enabler of cities to provide a higher level of service at a reduced price point. And what will cities do with that extra money? It's hard to say. They might fill more potholes, hire more police officers, hire more fighter personnel. I mean, it's really going to come down to efficiency. And that's what having a great partner can do for you. And that's what having a great
Well stated.
vision and plan for your city's future.
Michael, you said that you were talking about data, and my wheels are spinning where it's like, well, data is valuable, like, do we, is it even possible to get into the cities, like, offering data, in some way, shape, or form? This could be disruptive to industries that study traffic patterns and things like that. Like, cities are just going to know this information, right? I mean, like, maybe it's a whole nother podcast if we talk about like cities, generating revenue streams from the data that they're collecting. I don't know.
Well, data is the new oil. And we're refining this oil in ways that it can be used in the most efficient kind of way. Definitely, we're in an era of really understanding what data feeds you have. There's so much signal data that's out there that can be harnessed in so many important ways. You think about the example of the early wildfire detection. I talked about how that can be extended into things like traffic management. Well, then you start to think about other data signals like your cell phone tower data. Towns have this. They can use this to identify better ways to respond, and they're in the need of a first responder scenario. You can apply that to measure and manage traffic flows on a regular basis and plan for peak event scenarios. All of these are really applicable to so many different municipalities and regions across the U.S. and local governments that to me, I just get excited about how data as the new oil really as you start to look at it that way, you can start to envision how you can actually apply that data in impactful ways that improve the accessibility of government services, improve the responsiveness to those that are in first responder type scenarios, and that can just make everyone's lives that much more efficient and at an overall lower cost and faster time to delivery. These are exciting times when we look at how data in the government sector can now be applied in ways that it hasn't been up to this point.
Maybe even more important, we're talking about better safety, safer communities, safer campuses, safer schools. I mean, this is real-time threat detection, real-time crime, and marry that up with what we've already talked about of getting the emergency responders to the right space faster. I mean, we're talking about very, very impactful solutions here, saving many, many lives.
So if there's a city manager or CIO out there listening to this right now who's thinking, we need to take a fresh look at this, what's the first step they should take? Michael, I feel like it's going to be, either leverage your existing partnerships or start developing new ones. But I'll open it up to you folks. What's the first step that a city manager would take?
As a city manager, I'd discuss what the city council's priorities are. I'd look at the community priorities. I mean, there's only, most cities across the United States, it's public safety, it's economic development, it's education, it's healthcare. Those top 5 to 6 items, AI with good partners can help elevate those in every city to make things easier to access, more accessible. And those are all good starting points, is to start with a plan. Know what your pain points are, go after those pain points, find a trusted partner, and start a pilot. And start learning and growing, and start small and scale.
Yeah, I mean, I'll plug shamelessly. I think engaging SHI, you can engage us at ai@shi.com. We can help you with an assessment, a roadmap. Obviously, we have our AI labs for risk-free experimentation. And then, I'll plug NVIDIA here a little bit too. Partner with NVIDIA for scalable infrastructure.
Jack, you have the last word.
Yeah, well, listen, I think you've heard the way that SHI is helping our customers through this framework of imagining what's possible, bringing that to that first meeting where you've got your city planners wanting to solve problems. Well, we have that ability to bring them together through these workshops and identify that first step is to really engage in what are the most important priorities for the city. Apply that to what use cases can be used to solve that, and then move into that experimentation phase. And then once you're ready to move into the final phase, SHI can help you through adoption and ultimately scaling those.
Awesome. Well, we will leave it there. Jack Hogan, Denise Collison from SHI, and Michael Sherwood from NVIDIA, thanks so much for being here on this episode of Innovation Heroes. What I love about this conversation is that it's not theoretical. We're not talking about what AI could do someday. We're talking about solutions that are deployed right now, delivering real value, and are proving that government can move fast when you have the right partners and the right approach. If you're in state or local government and you're wondering how to get started with your AI journey or smart city solution, email ai@shi.com or see the link in the show notes to discover our AI solutions. Thanks to Jack, Denise, and Michael for joining us today. And thanks to NVIDIA for sponsoring this episode. We'll see you next time on Innovation Heroes. Thanks for listening to Innovation Heroes. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows. And if you want more insights on how SHI and NVIDIA are empowering organizations to achieve their possible, check out shi.com/partners/NVIDIA.